Hi guys, today we're going to be learning how to multiply integers. So let's label our notes today multiplying integers. And just like with adding and subtracting integers, there are rules that help us to figure out what to do with the signs. So the rules for multiplying integers are if the two numbers you're multiplying have the same signs. So by that I mean a positive number and a positive number, or a negative number and a negative number. So the signs are the same to each other. Then your answer is going to be positive. So you just multiply those numbers like normal, and then the answer will be positive. If the two numbers you're multiplying have different signs, so say a positive number and a negative number, or a negative number and a positive number, then you're going to get a negative answer. So it's pretty simple. It's not like we're going to have to make any major changes to how we multiply like we did with the rules for subtracting and adding, but you just need to pay attention to the signs and decide whether your answer will be positive or negative. Do note that if you multiply an odd number of negative integers, it will give you a negative answer. Oops, can't spell. Let's just try that again. Answer. So we can prove that to ourselves by, for example, multiplying -1 times -1 times -1. There are 3, so that's an odd number of them. And if you think about it, the first two have the same sign, so their answer would be +1. And then if I bring this one down, now these two have different signs, so they would have a negative answer. So they would be -1. So notice that an odd number of negative integers will give a negative answer. By the same token, multiplying an even number of negative integers gives a positive answer. Okay, so for example, if I did -1 times -1 times -1 times -1 4 times there, if you think it through, these have the same sign, so they would be positive. These two have different signs, so they would be negative. And then the last two have the same sign, so you would end up with a positive answer. Okay, so the reason that we have these rules is sometimes you'll be given a long string of integers, probably all different numbers. And if you don't want to have to go through all these steps to try and figure out what your final sign was, you could just count how many negative integers. If they're even, you'll know your final answer is positive. If they're odd, you'll know your final answer is negative. So these are just kind of shortcuts. Okay, so let's go and do some examples now. Let's apply these rules. So let's do example 1. I'm just going to keep my rules handy as I'm practicing. Okay, so I've got -5 times 4 So I would multiply like normal. 5 times 4 is 20, right? And then I would look at the signs. This is negative, and if there's nothing there, we assume that this is positive, right? So these are different signs, so my answer will be negative. Okay, because different signs. And notice that I'm writing the reasoning for my negative. When you need to show your work today in your practice, I want you to do that. So do your multiplying and then tell me why it's positive or negative, because different signs, because same signs. Okay, I'll keep doing that with my examples, and that's what I'm expecting from you in your work. Okay, so this one we've got negative 3 times 5 times negative 2. Now these aren't all negative, so I'm just going to go step by step. Here, I've got negative 3 times positive 5, right? So those are different signs. My rules say different signs gives me a negative answer. So I'm going to have negative 15, and then that's going to be multiplied by negative 2, right? Now I have the same sign, and my rules say that same signs gives a positive answer. So this would be positive 30 because they had the same signs. Okay, so this is what I would want you to do when you're showing your work in these type of problems. Okay, let's try example 3. I've got negative 10 times negative 4. So here they're the same sign. So I'm just going to multiply. 10 times 4 is 40. And same sign is positive. So it's positive 40 because same signs. Okay, and our last example 4 is going to be negative 2 times 8 times negative 3. Notice that I notated this a little differently. I'm using parentheses here. We need to be comfortable with different ways of notating multiplication. We might use the dot like this. We might use parentheses like this. We're going to get away from using the X as the multiplication sign because your next unit you're going to be going into algebraic expressions. So it means we're using variables, which very often are the letter X and the letter Y. And so we don't want to get those confused with the multiplication sign. So you're going to not see that as much. You're going to see multiplication written as a dot or as parentheses. So this means negative 2 times negative 8 times negative 3. So again, they're not all the same signs. I'm just going to go step by step. Here, we've got negative 2 times positive 8. Those are different signs. So that would be a negative answer. Okay, because of different signs. And then that would be multiplied by negative 3. So for that answer, negative times negative would be positive 48. So because same signs. So this will help you as you're writing these down to make sure that you're remembering to follow the rules and to help internalize those rules so you start to memorize it. Okay, now it's your turn. Let's do the Toyo. Try on your own. I'm going to give you your problems, and then if you could pause the video and try those on your own, and then we'll check our answers. So number 1 is going to be negative 8 times 9. Number 2 will be negative 9 times 3 times negative 2. Number 3 is going to be negative 12 times negative 5. Number 4 is going to be negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So times negative 1, that's 3, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. All right, negative 1 times itself 6 times. Number 5 is going to be negative 1 times negative 3 times 5. Number 6 is going to be negative 1 times negative 1, and I'm going to do dot, dot, dot times negative 1. And all together, this will be 1,081 times that those are multiplied together. And then me give you two more so I can get my paper settled. All right, this is all crooked now. Give me a sec. There we go. Number 7 is going to be -7 times -2 times -3. And number 8 is -2 times -2, continuing times -2, and that's going to be 8 times. So -2 times itself 8 times. Okay, so pause the video here, and then we will check them once you're done. Okay, so hopefully you are done. Let's go back and look. Here we had negative times a positive, so we know we're going to have a negative answer, okay, because different signs. And then I just multiply. 8 times 9 is 72. Okay? Here, I would do it step by step. So here I've got different signs, so I know I'm going to have a negative answer of 27. And then I'm going to bring down my -2. Now I have the same sign, so I know I'm going to have a positive answer of 54. And no, you don't have to write the positive sign, but that just helps. So here we had different signs. And here we had same signs. Okay, here we've got same sign. Same sign gives me a positive answer. 12 times 5 is 60. Okay, now this one, we know 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. So we know the number is going to be 1. Now we have to figure out positive or negative. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. 6 is an even number. So look back at your little cheat sheet. Multiplying an even number of negative integers gives a positive answer. So we know it's going to be positive 1 there. Okay? And you can prove it to yourself. You can go through and do the little each step, and you'll end up with a positive 1. Okay? Here, let's do this one. We've got same sign, so that's a positive number. 1 times 3 is 3. Okay? Then I'm going to multiply that times 5. These are both positive as well, so same signs again. That would be positive 15. Okay, so same signs for both steps. Okay, here, 1 times 1 times 1 again is 1. Notice this is an odd number because it ends in a 1, an odd number. So odd, so that would give me a negative answer. So in this case, it would be -1. Okay, number 7, let's see. Do it step by step. Here we have same signs, so it's going to be positive. 7 times 2 is 14. Bring down my -3. These are different signs, so I know I'm going to have a negative answer. And then 14 times 3 is 42. Okay, so same signs here and different signs here. All right, now this says 8 times. So first off, let's figure out the sign. 8 is an even number, so it's going to be positive answer. And then if I multiply 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 8 times, I get 256. Okay, so as you're doing your work today, remember to show your work like I have in the video here so that I can see that you're applying the rules and thinking about this properly, and it will help you memorize those rules, which you will thank me for later. Make sure when you're turning in your work on Google Classroom that you either attach a picture of your work or write me a note that you're turning it on paper so I know what to expect. All right, good luck, and I will see you tomorrow.